You know, sometimes the most powerful way to get someone back isn't by chasing them, it's by becoming the version of yourself they can't stay away from. This isn't about tricks, games, or manipulation, it's about stepping into your strength, regaining your confidence, and living in such a way that they have no choice but to notice. Because when you change your energy, you change the way people see you, and the way they feel about you. If you're ready to stop begging for love and start attracting it back naturally, listen closely, because this is how it's done. The first thing you have to understand is this: if you want her to come back, you cannot be the same person she walked away from. The version of you that she left behind was familiar, predictable, maybe even comfortable, but it wasn't compelling enough to hold her attention or her heart. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think if they just say the right words, apologize enough times, or explain themselves in just the right way, she'll suddenly change her mind. But people don't come back for words, they come back for transformation. Becoming the person she can't ignore starts deep inside, not on the surface. It's not about flashy displays or trying to show off to make her jealous. It's about making changes that are so genuine, so undeniable, that even if she tries to look away, she can still feel the difference in you. And the truth is, you can't fake that. She's seen the old you, she knows your patterns, so if you want her to feel something new, you have to become something new. That means taking a hard, honest look at yourself. What habits, attitudes, or insecurities pushed her away? Where did you get too comfortable? Where did you stop growing? Because comfort is the quiet killer of relationships. When we stop becoming better, we start becoming invisible. And I'll tell you, she didn't leave because she wanted someone completely different. She left because she wanted the best version of you, and maybe you stopped showing up as that person. So now's your moment to rise. This is not about proving her wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's about building a life and a mindset that even if she never comes back, you'd still be proud to live in it. That kind of confidence is magnetic. It's the type of strength that draws people without you having to lift a finger. Think about it. Have you ever seen someone you used to know, maybe years later, and they just shine differently? Maybe they're healthier, maybe they've found their purpose, maybe they're just standing a little taller, speaking with a little more certainty. And something in you feels that pull, not because they begged you to notice, but because they evolved. That's exactly what you need to become. Start with your mindset. The most attractive people are the ones who are centered, calm, and self-assured. You don't have to be the loudest in the room, but you do have to walk into every situation knowing your worth. That kind of quiet strength is unforgettable. When you think, speak, and act from a place of grounded confidence, you send a message without even saying a word. I'm good, with or without you, I'm good, and ironically, that's when people start wanting to be with you. Then build your habits, upgrade your health, your appearance, your daily routine. It's not vanity, it's respect for yourself. When you take care of yourself, you're telling the world you believe you're worth investing in, and she will notice. She might not comment right away, but trust me, she'll see it. It'll register in the back of her mind. Something's different, something's better, but beyond looks, invest in your growth, read, learn, sharpen your skills, take on challenges that scare you. There's nothing more magnetic than someone who is constantly improving. If the last time she saw you, you were stuck in the same routines, doing the same things, surrounded by the same energy, then now's the time to change that picture. Expand your world so much that when she looks at you again, it feels like looking at a brand new landscape. And here's the key: don't do it with the sole purpose of winning her back, because if you chase change just for her, you'll either stop growing once she's back, or you'll resent the process if she doesn't return. Do it because you deserve to be the best version of yourself no matter who's in your life. Do it so that even if the door to her heart never reopens, you've still built something you can stand on for the rest of your life. This transformation has to come from a place of strength, not fear. If you're making changes because you're afraid of losing her, you'll always carry that desperation in your tone, your actions, and your presence. People can feel that energy, and it pushes them away, but when you change because you know your value, and you want your life to reflect that value, the energy shifts completely. You go from chasing to attracting, from pleading to leading. You'll start to notice small shifts. Maybe she'll watch your story longer. Maybe she'll ask about something you're doing. Maybe she'll just seem curious. Don't rush it, don't push it, let her curiosity grow. Remember, mystery is powerful. When she realizes she can't fully read you anymore, when she sees you've built a life that doesn't revolve around her, she'll want to understand what's behind it. That's when the pull starts to work in your favor, and here's the beautiful part. Even if she doesn't come back, you win. You've upgraded your life, your mindset, your health, your confidence. You've become someone who doesn't need to beg for love, because love flows toward you naturally. And if she does come back, she won't just be returning to the person she left, she'll be coming back to someone she can respect, admire, and feel proud to be with. So if you do nothing else, do this: become the person she can't ignore, not because you're loud, not because you're forcing your presence into her life, but because you've become so solid, so alive, and so at peace with yourself that she can't help but notice. And when she does, that's when everything begins to change. If there's one thing that will either draw her closer or push her further away faster than anything else, it's your ability to control your emotions. When emotions take over, they have this way of clouding your thinking, making you react in ways that you regret later. You start sending messages you shouldn't send, saying things you don't mean, and letting frustration or desperation bleed into your tone. And here's the truth: when she senses desperation, she'll run. When she senses anger, she'll shut down. But when she senses calm, steady confidence, that's when she'll start paying attention. The moment you lose emotional control, you're no longer leading the interaction, you're being led by it. And if she feels like she can pull you into a spiral with just one word or one action, she knows she still has power over you. That power will never inspire her to come back. In fact, it will reinforce the reason she left in the first place. People aren't drawn to instability, they're drawn to security. They want to feel safe around you, safe enough to trust you with their heart again. That's why you have to master your responses. When she ignores your message, don't double text in a panic. When she posts something that triggers you, don't jump into a defensive rant or start analyzing her every move. Step back, breathe, remind yourself that your emotions are yours to control, not hers to control. She doesn't get to dictate your mood. That's your job, and this isn't about becoming cold or emotionless. It's about channeling your feelings in a way that shows strength, not instability. You can care deeply for someone without letting them see you unravel every time something doesn't go your way. In fact, the quieter you become when you're upset, the more powerful your presence feels, not silent in the sense of shutting down or stonewalling, but in the sense of measured, thoughtful responses. Imagine she says something hurtful or dismissive. The old you might have snapped back instantly, firing off words just to defend yourself. But the new you takes a beat, lets the emotion pass, and responds from a place of clarity. That difference is massive. She'll notice it. She might not admit it out loud, but in her mind she's thinking, he's different. I can't get to him like I used to, and that thought plants a seed of curiosity and respect. You also have to understand that emotional control isn't just about how you respond to her, it's about how you carry yourself in every area of your life. If you're constantly stressed, reactive, or negative in other situations, it will bleed into how she sees you. But if you're composed under pressure, if you can keep your head straight when life gets messy, that composure becomes part of your identity. That's attractive, that's rare. Think of it this way: your emotional state sets the tone for how others feel around you. If you're calm, people relax. If you're confident, people feel safe. If you're frantic, people want to escape. So ask yourself, what does she feel when she's around you? Is she walking into a storm or into a steady, grounded presence? Because no one comes back to the storm, they come back to the lighthouse. To build this kind of emotional stability, you have to practice it before the emotional moment hits. That means having routines that keep you grounded, whether that's working out, journaling, meditation, prayer, or simply taking time to clear your head before you respond to something. You can't expect to suddenly be composed in the heat of a moment if you've never trained yourself to be composed in the quiet. And here's another thing: when you control your emotions, you control the pace. You're no longer rushing for a resolution, no longer trying to force her to feel something before she's ready. You allow space for things to breathe, for curiosity to grow, for attraction to rebuild naturally, because when you're in a hurry, you're telling her that you need her to fix your feelings. When you're patient, you're telling her you can handle your life just fine, and that, ironically, is what makes her start wanting to be part of it again. It's also worth saying that emotional control protects you. It keeps you from saying something that can't be unsaid. It keeps you from making decisions out of fear that you'll regret when the moment passes. It stops you from handing her the proof that walking away was the right choice. Because whether you realize it or not, every interaction is building a case in her mind, either for you or against you. And if every time she interacts with you she sees calm strength, patience, and maturity, you're building a case she can't ignore. Of course, this doesn't mean you won't feel frustrated or hurt. You're human. But instead of letting those emotions spill out in a way that weakens you, you learn to hold them, process them, and release them without making her the center of your emotional world. That's the difference between someone who is emotionally needy and someone who is emotionally strong, and emotional strength will always be more attractive. Remember, you're not just showing her that you've changed, you're showing yourself. You're proving that you have the discipline to stay centered no matter what she does. And when you can do that, you've already shifted the balance. You're no longer reacting to her, she's starting to react to you. And that's the point, because once she realizes that her words, her actions, even her silence can't pull you off center anymore, she's going to see you differently. She's going to see a man who doesn't need her to validate his worth, but who is strong enough to invite her back into his life on his terms. And that's when the dynamic begins to change. One of the biggest mistakes people make when someone leaves them is putting their entire life on pause. They stop living, stop enjoying things, and wait around for the other person to come back before they start moving forward again. But here's the hard truth: if your world collapses without her, she has no reason to want to step back into it. Why? Because it tells her that you were relying on her to make you feel whole. And no one wants to feel like they are responsible for someone else's entire happiness. Building an unshakable life without her doesn't mean you don't care about her. It doesn't mean you're pretending she never mattered. It means you understand that your value, your joy, and your purpose cannot be tied to just one person. It means you know how to stand on your own 2 feet and create a life so full, so meaningful, that even if she never walks back through the door, you still have something worth waking up for every day. This is not about ignoring the pain. You're going to feel it. You're going to have moments when the silence is heavy, when the memories hit you out of nowhere, when you're tempted to reach out just to hear her voice. But instead of letting those moments drag you backward, you use them as fuel to build forward. You tell yourself, I'm going to create something so strong, so solid, that no one leaving can take it away from me again. That's where the real power comes from. When you start focusing on building your life, you shift the energy completely. Instead of chasing her, you're chasing your goals. Instead of wondering what she's doing, you're too busy living your own story. And here's the beautiful part: people notice that, they feel it. There's a difference between someone who's just filling time until they get what they want and someone who's actually moving with purpose. Fill your days with things that challenge you, excite you, and push you to grow. If there's a skill you've been meaning to learn, start learning it. If there's a trip you've been putting off, book it. If there's a business you've been talking about starting for years, take the first step. The point is to stop making your life small and start making it big, not because you're trying to make her jealous, but because you refuse to live in waiting mode. And I'll tell you what happens when you do this. At first, she might not react at all. She might even think you're faking it, but over time, as she sees you consistently showing up for your own life, she'll start to realize this isn't an act, it's who you are now. That's when the shift happens in her mind. She's no longer looking at the same man she walked away from. She's looking at someone stronger, someone more alive, someone she could actually see herself with again, not because he needs her, but because he wants her. There's a big difference between needing someone and wanting someone. Need feels heavy, it feels desperate. Want feels light, free, and full of choice. When you build a life that's thriving without her, you send a very clear, unspoken message: I'm good either way. I'd love for you to be part of this, but I'm not falling apart without you. And that message is powerful. You also have to surround yourself with energy that lifts you, spend time with friends who encourage you. Get around people who inspire you to think bigger, cut out the voices that keep you stuck in the past or feed your bitterness. Because the truth is, the more positive, forward, moving energy you have in your life, the less space there is for desperation to grow. And let's be honest, this isn't just about her. This is about you becoming the kind of man who doesn't crumble when life changes. Relationships will come and go, people will enter your life and leave it. But if you can create a foundation that stands no matter who's beside you, you'll never be in a position where someone else's decision destroys you again. That's true independence. There's something deeply attractive about someone who is clearly fulfilled in their own life. They don't need constant attention or reassurance because they already have meaning in what they do every day. When you walk into a room with that kind of presence, people feel it. They might not know your story, but they can sense that you're solid. That's the energy you want to project. Now, does this mean you shut her out completely? No, it just means she's no longer the center of your world. You still care, you still respect her, but you're not orbiting around her anymore. You're building something that exists with or without her. And when she sees that, when she realizes that your life is moving forward whether she's in it or not, it creates a very human reaction. She starts wondering if she's missing out. That's the irony. When you stop making her your whole focus, that's often when she starts focusing on you again. But even if she doesn't, you've already won. Because the life you've built without her isn't a consolation prize, it's a foundation for everything you'll do next. So stop waiting, stop putting things on hold until she comes back. Build now, grow now, live now. When you create an unshakable life without her, you're not just increasing the chances that she'll return, you're guaranteeing that no matter what happens, you'll be standing stronger than you've ever stood before. When a relationship ends, a lot of people make the mistake of trying to force their way back into the other person's life. They text constantly, they try to have long emotional conversations, they keep asking for a closure that's really just another attempt to reconnect. But here's the thing, attraction doesn't rebuild through pressure, it rebuilds through curiosity, and curiosity only happens when there's space for it to breathe. That's why instead of chasing, you focus on reigniting the spark through subtle, natural connection. You don't need to flood her phone with messages or flood her mind with reminders that you're still there. In fact, doing too much too soon will make her push you away even faster. What you want is for her to start wondering about you on her own. You want her to notice changes without you shoving them in her face. The goal is to make her think, something's different. And I kind of want to know more. That's the spark. This is where your growth from the earlier steps starts working in your favor. If you've been building yourself up, improving your mindset, and creating a better life, you don't have to announce it, it shows. And the more she sees it naturally, the more it feels real. Anyone can put on an act for a week or two. But when she sees consistent changes without you trying to sell them to her, she'll know you're becoming someone different. Sometimes that connection can happen through mutual friends. Maybe someone mentions you in a conversation and it's clear you're doing well. Maybe she hears about something new you're working on. These aren't big, dramatic updates, they're small, real things that slowly paint a picture of progress. Or maybe it's through social media. You're not posting desperate quotes or sad messages aimed at her. You're posting moments of your life that show you're moving forward, a hike you went on, a project you're working on, time with people who bring you joy. These little glimpses create a new image of who you are now, and here's the part most people miss. Subtle connection isn't just about showing progress. It's about letting her feel that you're still approachable. That means you're not shutting her out completely or acting cold if she does reach out. If she sends you a message, you respond, but you keep it light, calm, and positive. No drama, no pressure, no hidden agenda. When you can interact without making it heavy, she feels safe enough to engage again. Think about it. If every time she hears from you, the conversation turns into a plea for another chance or a long discussion about the past, she's going to avoid contact. But if your interactions leave her feeling lighter, even a little curious, she'll be more open to talking again. The point is to keep the door open without standing in the doorway, blocking her path, demanding she come inside. Sometimes it's even as simple as letting your actions do all the talking. Maybe she sees you out somewhere, and instead of avoiding her or acting awkward, you greet her warmly, keep the conversation short and easy, and then go about your day. That kind of interaction speaks volumes. It says, I'm okay, I respect you, I'm living my life, and that's a very different message from, I can't function without you. You have to remember that attraction is built in the absence, not the presence of pressure. When someone feels free to walk away, that's when they often start wanting to come closer. It's counterintuitive, but it's true. If she feels like every time she talks to you she's going to be pulled into a deep, emotional tug of war, she'll keep her distance. But if she feels like she can be around you without it costing her peace, she'll start coming around more often, even if it's just in small ways at first. And those small ways matter. They're not the big dramatic moments you see in movies, they're the quick check-ins, the casual likes on your posts, the random "hey, I saw this and thought of you" texts. Every little interaction is a thread. You don't need to pull on it hard, you just let it sit there, connected, and over time, those threads can start weaving something back together. Patience is everything here. Subtle connection is slow by nature. It's not instant gratification, but it's the difference between something that fades quickly and something that grows naturally. If you can resist the urge to rush the process, you give the spark time to actually catch fire again. And while you're doing this, keep living your life, keep working on yourself, keep building the foundation that makes you feel proud. Because here's the real truth, if the connection is going to mean anything, it has to be built with the new version of you, not the old one. If she comes back because she sees genuine change, that's when it lasts. If she comes back because she feels pressured or manipulated, that's when it falls apart again. So don't try to force your way back into her life. Create space for curiosity, let her see your growth naturally, and make every interaction light enough that she actually wants more of it. That's how you reignite the spark without smothering it. One of the hardest things to do when you care about someone is to give them space. Your natural instinct is to hold on tighter, to find ways to keep the conversation going, to remind them of what you had. But here's the reality, the more you try to hold on, the more you risk pushing them away. Respecting the distance doesn't mean you disappear completely, it means you allow them the room to breathe, while still keeping just enough presence in their mind that they don't forget you. It's a balance between absence and awareness. When someone pulls back, they're looking for clarity for themselves and for the relationship. And if you fill every moment with calls, texts, or just checking in and messages, you're not giving them the space to find that clarity. You might think you're showing care, but what they often feel is pressure, and pressure rarely draws people closer. It makes them want to step back even more. So, you respect the distance, you don't fight against it. You give them the freedom to miss you, because missing someone only happens in their absence. If you're always there, always available, always responding in seconds, there's no gap for longing to grow. That's why the quiet moments matter. They allow the emotional space for curiosity, reflection, and even nostalgia to build. But respecting space doesn't mean you vanish so completely that you become a stranger. You want to stay present in subtle ways. Maybe that's an occasional light-hearted message that has nothing to do with the relationship, something that feels natural and pressure-free. Maybe it's being visible through mutual friends or social media without directly engaging with her. It's not about making grand gestures. It's about small, consistent reminders that you're still here, just not in her face. The key is to make your presence feel easy. If every time she hears from you it feels heavy, she's going to avoid contact. But if your presence feels light, positive, and non-intrusive, she'll be more open to having it around. This is where your emotional control comes in. You can't let impatience or frustration leak into these moments. If she senses even a hint of pressure, she'll retreat. And I'll tell you something important, sometimes the distance isn't just for her. It's for you. That space gives you time to work on yourself, to keep building your life, to maintain the progress you've been making. If you're constantly focused on her, you're not focusing on your own growth, and if she does come back, you want her to return to someone who has been evolving, not someone who's been sitting in the same emotional place waiting for her. Distance also has a way of revealing truth. It shows you how much of your connection was built on genuine compatibility versus constant proximity. If she can step away and still feel drawn to you over time, that's a sign the bond runs deeper than convenience. But if you force contact, you'll never know if her interest is because she truly wants to be there or because you didn't give her the option to miss you. You have to trust that if there's something real between you, space won't destroy it, it will clarify it. That's not easy, it requires patience, it requires sitting in the discomfort of not knowing exactly what's going on in her mind. But that's part of the process. You're showing her that you're confident enough to let things unfold naturally, and that quiet confidence is magnetic. When you do interact, be intentional, make the moments matter. You don't have to say much. Sometimes a single meaningful sentence leaves more of an impression than a long conversation. Let her walk away from every interaction with a good feeling, one that makes her think about you long after you've stopped talking. That's how you stay present without overwhelming her. And here's the thing, when you respect her space, you're also respecting yourself. You're showing that you understand your value doesn't come from constant access to her. You don't need to chase to prove your worth. You're solid enough to step back, and stepping back takes more strength than clinging ever will. There's a subtle shift that happens when you master this balance. She begins to realize that you're not trying to control the situation, you're not demanding answers, you're not trying to manipulate her emotions. You're simply allowing her to make her own choice, and that's powerful. People are far more likely to choose you when they feel they're doing it freely, not because they've been pushed into it. Over time, this approach can change the way she sees you. Instead of associating you with pressure, she starts associating you with calmness, respect, and emotional maturity. And when the person she remembers is someone who honors her space, but still knows how to be present in the right way, that's when she begins to reconsider. So don't fear the distance, use it, respect it, and make your presence so steady, so unshakable, that even when you're not around, she can still feel you. The truth about getting someone back is that it's never instant. We live in a world that expects quick fixes. Send the right message, make one grand gesture, and suddenly everything's back to how it used to be. But relationships don't work like that. Attraction, trust, and emotional connection are rebuilt over time, and that's where consistency and patience become your most powerful tools. Anyone can make changes for a week or two. Anyone can put on a show for a short period, acting like they've grown just enough to win the other person back. But real change, that's proven in the long run, it's in the way you show up day after day, even when no one's watching, even when you're not getting immediate results. It's in the way you keep building yourself without needing constant recognition for it. Patience doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the right things consistently, trusting the process even when it feels slow. You're not just waiting for her to see the difference, you're living the difference until it becomes a permanent part of who you are. That's how she knows it's real, because let's be honest, if the changes you've made start fading the moment she shows interest, she'll see right through you. You can't fake long-term growth, and consistency isn't just about self-improvement, it's also about how you treat her. If you're calm and confident one day but desperate and reactive the next, she'll never feel safe enough to trust you again. People feel secure with those who are emotionally steady, whose energy doesn't swing wildly based on circumstances. If she sees that no matter what happens, whether she reaches out, pulls away, or stays silent, you remain composed and grounded, that stability will begin to rebuild her trust. You have to understand that patience is where most people fail. They want the outcome too quickly. They start doing the right things, but when they don't see instant results, they get frustrated. That frustration pushes them to reach out more, to demand answers, to check in too often, and just like that, they undo all the progress they were making. What they don't realize is that every time you try to rush this, you send the message that your confidence is fragile. And fragile confidence doesn't attract anyone. When you commit to the long game, something changes inside you. You stop obsessing over when she'll come back and start focusing on becoming the kind of man she would naturally want to come back to. You keep going to the gym, keep working on your goals, keep maintaining your emotional control, keep showing up for your own life, not because you're performing for her, but because this is who you are now. And when she sees that you're living this way with or without her, it's compelling. Patience also allows her to move through her own emotions at her own pace. She may need time to process the past, to see if the changes in you are real, to rebuild her own trust in what you had. If you rush her, you're not giving her the space to get there naturally. And here's the thing, when someone comes back on their own timeline, it's because they genuinely want to. That choice has weight, it lasts longer than anything you could push them into. Think about the most meaningful relationships in your life. They weren't built in a rush, they grew slowly, with moments of connection layered on top of each other until trust became solid. That's exactly how this works now. You're building layer by layer, not with grand speeches, but with quiet proof. Proof that you've changed, proof that you're stable, proof that you can handle whatever life throws at you. Consistency is also what sets you apart from everyone else she may meet during this time. Other people might start strong but fade quickly. They might impress her in the moment but reveal instability later. If you remain steady, you become the contrast. You become the one person she knows she can rely on, no matter how much time passes. And while you're being consistent, you're also being patient with yourself. Change isn't easy. There will be days when you feel discouraged, when you question whether this is even working. But the truth is, every day you maintain your growth, you're building momentum. Even if you can't see the results yet, the work you're doing is shaping you into a stronger, more confident version of yourself. Eventually, there will be moments where she notices. It might be something small, the way you carry yourself differently, the way you handle a conversation without tension, the way your life seems fuller now. These moments stack up in her mind, and as they do, she'll start to see you not as the man she left, but as the man you've become. That's when the door starts to open again, but whether she walks through that door or not, you'll have something even more valuable, the knowledge that you stayed true to your growth. You didn't just make temporary changes to get a specific outcome, you became the kind of person who lives with discipline, focus, and emotional strength every day. And that will serve you in every relationship, in every challenge, for the rest of your life. So don't chase instant results. Play the long game, stay consistent in your actions, patient in your mindset, and grounded in your confidence. That's how you create change that lasts, and that's how you give her a reason to come back when the time is right. If this message spoke to you, don't just stop here, take action. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Your comeback story starts the moment you decide to own it, and the next chapter begins now.